News! Okay, we'll start with this. A recent post from Clarissa Shields that is somewhat bewildering. The post reads, like I said, I've got $100,000 for any girl from any hood, any country, but this is the gag. What do I get out of giving y'all an opportunity? Zero. So yes, it's gonna have to be some incentive for the quote. $100,000? What world-class opponents, what names are you gonna attract with that paltry offering? The only way I can accept wasting my precious time proving what I already know is a reality TV show. Live auditions and competitive competitions. Where will the home be for this reality TV show? She tagged the WWE. She tagged Netflix, the Zeus Network, YouTube. So she's trying to franchise. She's trying to build a reality TV show around herself with the presentation of a sweepstakes. Fight the quote for $100,000. You can't hope to attract serious fighters, serious competitors like Jadeja Green, Savannah Marshall, as it would take a lot more than just a meager $100,000 to make fights with either of them. Not that that's what Clarissa's trying to do. She clearly isn't. She was having a back and forth with Jadeja Green about 2 or 3 days ago. Same Clarissa Shields who claims to have signed a landmark deal that's supposed to be kicking out $2 million per fight to her. Remember that? $2 million per fight, 2 fights a year, spread across 4 years, totaling an $8 million value. That was the story, so that she can pay her opponents peanuts on the dollar. Price tag like that, $100,000. You're not hoping to draw serious fighters, world-class fighters with a paltry offering like that, so who are you looking to fight? Soup ladies? Security guards? Part-time boxers? She said any girl from any hood, so what girls are you thinking of? Pedestrians? Civilians? And women who really aren't boxers? Not seriously, because that is what this sounds like. Like you're fishing for network television money, and this is your pitch. But why would a network want to pick this up? I mean, why would a network invest in Clarissa Shields versus pedestrian-level opponents? What's supposed to be in it for them? You're so focused on what's in it for you, what do you get, but what do they get in bankrolling it? She said it's supposed to be a competition like tryouts, and the last woman left standing presumably gets to fight Clarissa, tantamount to Clarissa fighting the world's tallest midget. For a woman who fancies herself the greatest woman of all times, your standards should be a lot higher for who you're willing to fight. It seems like you're just sort of whoring yourself out to a network, hoping that one picks you up, which is not what you would expect from someone who supposedly just signed a landmark deal worth $8 million. Seeming more and more like the value of that deal is about as fake as those tarantula eyelashes Clarissa's so fond of. This is not the kind of endeavor that you would expect from a world-class athlete, or the kind of endeavor that someone endeavors into if they just made life-altering money, or they expect to in their very next fight. Where's the fight news? Where? The serious fight news. Because Jadeja Green is still out there. Savannah Marshall is still out there. She's never wanted to fight Savannah Marshall again. That's been clear in the 3 years that followed their initial meeting. She may have won the fight, but she wants no parts of the rematch, because at any point she could have had it, and it would have been bigger than anything else she's done in the last 3 years. What's the biggest fight Clarissa had in the last 3 years? Who's the best fighter? Vanessa Joanese? Danielle Perkins? Lonnie Daniels? Maricela Cornejo? You're telling me that a rematch with Savannah Marshall wouldn't have been bigger than any of those fights? Of course it would have been, because more people know Savannah than they know them. The problem is... Real problem is Clarissa doesn't want to have to go through that again. She may have won the first fight, but she also got hit a lot in that fight. She felt Savannah Marshall's power firsthand, and I think she doesn't want to have to go through that again. Moreover, she doesn't want to have to pay out serious money for serious opponents. She thinks they're all supposed to just fight her for peanuts on the dollar. Just be happy about it. Further indication that she's not the highest paid woman in women's boxing like she claims. Look at Amanda Serrano, for example. Amanda makes sure to pay her opponents generously, whether it's Nina Menka or Erica Cruz or anybody else. They make good money, very good money, fighting Amanda Serrano.
Amanda's opponents comparatively make more than Clarissa's opponents.
Amanda Serrano, comparatively, makes more than Clarissa. What it's going to take Clarissa Shields 2 years to earn, Amanda Serrano already got in her last fight. One fight, one night.
So what may be going on here is Clarissa Shields doesn't want to kick out what she needs to kick out to make great fights. So she's cheaping out on opponents and is instead offering up some sort of a sweepstakes.
$100,000 to any girl from any hood who's willing to step up and face her. But who the fuck told you that that's what people want to see?
That's like Canelo Alvarez offering to fight somebody from the crowd.
Once again, overestimating her own celebrity, thinking that somebody's supposed to eat this up. What target audience are you targeting with this kind of programming? Not boxing fans who want to see competitive boxing matches. Looks like you're not about that anymore.
Papoose just needs to hurry up and get her pregnant so she can go the fuck away.
It's not too late.
Then super lightweight news. Earlier today, it was officially announced that at the end of January, next month, Shakur Stevenson would be moving up in weight and locking horns with Teofimo Lopez, which we all expected. We've heard enough about it in the last few weeks, the last few months, but they made it official. Supposed to be going down at Madison Square Garden in the heart of the Big Apple.
There's actually supposed to be a whole lot going on in the sport of boxing in the month of January. Remember, Amanda Serrano is supposed to be coming back on her native island of Puerto Rico. Xander Zayas is supposed to be doing the same thing, unifying titles. It looks like Subriel Matias' fight, his title defense against Dalton Smith, it's going to go ahead.
It's going to happen. And I think there are one or some smaller cards in between those cards, as well as this one, which would be the biggest one in the month. Lopez versus Stevenson.
Notice that the registered promoter for the show is Bob Arum and Top Rank, which sort of threw me for a loop because I remembered hearing that it was actually going to be Matchroom promoting the show. And a few weeks before that, I remember the story was, the rumor, I should say, that it was going to be the PBC. Them having some experience in that area, having done a lot of shows at the Barclays Center, I remember hearing that they were going to be promoting this.
And that's back when they were saying that it was going to land at the Barclays Center. As it stands, it's landed at an even bigger venue in Madison Square Garden, what looks to be the big room.
So in the end, it didn't turn out to be the PBC doing the legwork for this fight, or Matchroom. It turned out to be Top Rank, which is in many ways fitting because they've done just as many shows in that region, and they've actually promoted these two fighters. They're the ones who groomed them, who developed them, both Teofimo and Shakur Stevenson.
So it is sort of fitting that they be the ones to promote the fight between them, even if that's not their promoter anymore.
What it is that Riyadh Season and Sella, they're the ones putting up the money, but they're not the ones that are going to do the grunt work. You need a promoter with experience, somebody who's done this before. So it's sort of like hiring Top Rank for their services. Promoter for hire, if you will. Now, this fight between Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez does feature two familiar faces, two young fighters, both in their prime, though stylistically, it doesn't make for a barn burner, and I've said that more than once. This is more of a thinking man's fight. So when I look at the show, I'm actually more excited for what might end up on the undercard than the main event itself. I have Shakur Stevenson winning the main event. I have him outpointing Teofimo Lopez.
In anticlimactic fashion.
Aesthetically, boxer-puncher versus pure boxer doesn't make for the most entertaining fight. It just doesn't. But I do feel it's a fight that Shakur will win dominantly. That's why I'm a bit more focused on what the undercard is going to look like, what's going to be in the co-main event. That may yield more entertaining fights than this one will turn out to be. This is likely going to be a pay-per-view, one of the 12-plus pay-per-views that the DAZN platform plans on doing annually, unless you subscribe to their ultimate tier.
Which I still haven't.
It's a year-long commitment to do that, you know. And when you do that, you don't know what the rest of the year is going to look like. You don't know what else might end up being a quote-unquote pay-per-view. Not knowing that, you sort of sacrifice your buying power by signing on straight away.
And I still haven't done that. I'm likely going to purchase the Night of the Samurai later on this month, and I'm likely going to purchase Stevenson versus Lopez.
But if we end up with more pay-per-views like Itelma versus White or Parker versus Wardley, yeah, I'm not on board for that, and I'm not going to be paying extra. So there are already some fights on the regular schedule that are better, in my opinion, than those pay-per-views were, like Nunez versus Navarrete, the unification match between the two super featherweight champions.
Doesn't cost me anything extra to see that.
Back over to Shakur and Teofimo. I expect Shakur to win, and he himself said that, he wins this fight at 140, becomes a 4-weight world champion, then he wants to move up to the welterweight division and see about fighting Conor Benn?
I guess that means not only would Shakur end up vacating the WBC title that he still holds at 135, but he would probably vacate the WBO title as well. He wouldn't defend it, he wouldn't unify it, he'd try to integrate into the welterweight division.
Just some things to think about now that this fight is official.
Or Bill's been asking for you, opposed to asking for Ryan, because it didn't seem like he's interested in it.
Why didn't they call me out after I beat Ryan? Why didn't they call me out directly after they beat Norman? Why did they sit down and try to play all that humble stuff? But me and Devin are never going to fight. I want nothing to do with that fight. Like I said, way back when, I believe he should go do his rematch with Ryan.
Well then, what about Manny? I mean, that's the fight that everyone's saying that you and Manny Pacquiao, which makes perfect sense, right? I think it's a humongous fight in boxing.
I mean, let's say it like this. What sounds better? Me and... what's a bigger fight?
Manny.
Okay.
So.
But I mean, like, we don't even know if that's still been. I mean, we don't know if that's even happening. So, I don't know, man. I don't care. I go with whatever happens. If it goes this way, I go this way. If it goes that way, I go that way. I don't really care.
This coming from a guy who has a mandatory challenger in the queue in Shakram Giasov. That if you don't want to unify titles with Devin, and you don't know if the fight with Manny is going to happen, you do have a mandatory to satisfy in Shakram Giasov. See, this is why guys like Romero are not supposed to have alphabet titles, world titles. And he didn't really earn his. He got it by beating Ryan.
Neither Ryan or Rolly had done much of anything in the welterweight division, but the WBA took it upon themselves to manufacture a title for them to fight for. And because Rolly won the fight against Ryan, he was elevated to welterweight champion, having never beaten an actual welterweight.
Shit like this is why guys like Rolly ain't supposed to have alphabet titles, but it's the alphabets themselves that put the titles in their hands. I want to preface everything I'm about to say with, I don't actually care if Rolly does or doesn't fight Devin. I don't care to see either of them fight, to be honest with you, with each other or other people. I don't care about either of those two kids all that much, but just accenting the problem that the welterweight division faces. That you got a guy like Rolly running around with a belt, and he doesn't want to do shit with it, except maybe defend it against a close to 50-year-old Manny Pacquiao. That he is interested in. That he does want to do, on the premise that it's supposed to be bigger.
Well, then he's dumber than he looks, because fighting Devin on Turkey's dime would get Rolly more money than fighting Manny on pay-per-view.
I mean, Turkey Al Sheikh on behalf of Devin would put up more money for Rolly than he'd get fighting Manny. That's a given. Manny's marquee value is not what it was.
Nope.
And I'm sick of seeing people in the industry skirt around this. That when he fought Ugas years ago, it didn't sell much. And he just fought Mario Barrios, and that couldn't have sold much either. Because if it did, we would have got a second fight.
It's common sense. It stands to reason. If the first fight did well at the gate and well at the box office and it ended in a draw, they would have been in a hurry to do a rematch. But you never heard them talk about doing a rematch between Manny and Mario because it didn't sell shit. And nobody reported big numbers for that fight. So Manny Pacquiao was happy to move on, and so was Mario.
Mario's moving on to Ryan. Manny's moving on to Rolly. He's supposed to be. We still don't know. But this idea that because Manny Pacquiao is more well-known or because Manny Pacquiao is more accomplished, than a Devin Haney per se, that the fight between him and Rolly is bigger? No, not necessarily. How many people out there do you think want to see a close to 50-year-old Manny Pacquiao? How many people do you expect to pay to see that?
People are not coming out in droves for Manny Pacquiao fights because he's well past his prime. The paying public knows that, and the paying public that pays to see combat sports, they want to see athletes in their prime, at their peak performance.
And if that sounds like ageism, well, it's because it is. That's the harsh reality of sports. All sports are for young guys in their prime. And that doesn't last very long either.
It's a harsh reality, but it's the truth.
No sense in pouring sugar on shit. You used to see Amy Schumer and Lizzo talk about how it's wrong to body shame and all these different things up until Ozempic came out.
What happened to loving the skin that you're in? Being body positive and body beautiful?
What the fuck does this have to do with ageism?
There's no sense in sugarcoating shit. That's the point. Things are the way that they are. And people generally watch combat sports to see peak human beings, peak athletes putting forward peak performances. Manny's not about to do that at close to 50 years old. So the idea that him versus Rolly is some kind of a big fight?
That's a psyop. It's just a lot of bullshit. You're still wailing out this old guy whenever it's convenient to pull at the heartstrings, hoping that it will pull at the heartstrings of the audience at large enough that you might be able to sell some tickets, and you might be able to sell some pay-per-views, but like I said, you didn't do much of anything with Ugas, and you probably did less than that with Mario Barrios more recently. So how would adding Rolly to the mix make it any better? This is not the kind of shit people watch combat sports for.
Literally isn't. By all rights, Rolly's supposed to be getting his ass kicked by somebody. That's how it's supposed to go. You don't want to let that happen. You want to feed him to an old man Pacquiao.
And he might be too fucking old to kick his ass. He couldn't kick Mario Barrios' ass. He might be too old to kick Rolly's. So this is just gonna go on. Boxing World was not asking for this fight to be made, but you guys are making it anyway, or trying to, and then trying to convince people that it's this huge fight.
Like you do with every fucking fight. And even after the fucking fight doesn't sell any goddamn thing, you're just gonna keep repeating yourselves. You're just gonna keep doing the same thing.
So allow me to say the quiet part out loud. Most boxing fans that really like this sport and really watch it have no interest in seeing a close to 50-year-old Manny Pacquiao fight one bum after the other. The guy's old and needs to retire.
And Rolly is a bum. You can put a title in his hands. You can give him two. He's still the same bum.
He's a fucking bum.